Alright, I got this to replace or add an additional sound effect to the door, so I can go through the door with a new audio effect. I don't know if this is new information or not, since the Resident Evil 4 community is so kind of dead. But I'm just going to put this out here, so if anybody's interested in adding additional sound effects to the doors, they can do that. Presently, I think there's the way they would have done it before, because it's simple, and that is just simply to replace the WAV file in the Xbox Wave Bank. But I'm going to be showing how we can add an additional one. Okay, that's a new one. Doing this is more complicated, okay, but it adds to the effects, so it doesn't compromise the rest of the game setup. So if you replace a door with a honk honk, it's not going to replace every door in the game with a honk honk, because these are common audio files. So if you replace that file entirely, then all the doors will be replaced. So we're going to be actually just adding a new audio file and then doing a specific door and telling that door to use that audio. Okay. So I don't know if this is new or old, but I'm just going to show how I did it. So first off, I'll explain a little bit about how we can change the door effect. So this is just a hex editor, and this is the UDAS for the room. This is a different room. When I go through this door, that'll be the room file that I have here in the hex editor. Down here is what is called the DSE, the door sound effect file. It's a very simple format. You have the amount of doors, count for how many doors, and then you have a door entry, and it's about what is that, 12 bytes. Okay. The first 2 bytes here is actually the destination of that door, so where that door is going to. It's broken up as the stage folder, and then the file inside of the stage folder. It's just like an address. Then you have the index to the door sound effect that it's going to be called. And then these, I think, are for other sound effects. This one, I think, may be involved with the door locking or unlocking, but I haven't been able to prove that yet. So for now, we'll just deal with this one. This will affect when you open a door and close a door. Okay. So right now, I'll just kind of show you what it sounds like. Default. Okay, it's going to have a Dungy metal door. And I'll change it to 3, and then save it. So as I go in and out of the room, it's reloading a new UDAS. UDAS is just a package that contains all the stage information, information for the stage. And it's hard to hear, but it sounds like he's going down a flight of steps. Alright, so you can change it very simply just by hex editing the UDAS. So it's pretty simple. Now there's only, this is the sound effects that are used, and these are the ones that are called upon in the game. So these are in decimal. They go from 0 to 11, okay? So if I wanted to access 11, I would type in 0B. So this is a data interpreter. It shows us the hex as converted to decimal. So this would be 11. So this would access the very final file. So I'll just show that. Save this. Alright, so it's kind of sounded like he jumped off a rock or something like, I fell off. So let's just show that we got a different one. Now, if you go beyond 11, so we type in C, that will be 12 in decimal, and we try to reload this, it would do something interesting. It will just load the first audio again, which is weird. But if we do this a different way, we can close this out entirely, and we start a new instance. Now the file's already set to an index that we don't have a number for, so 12, and there's no 12, okay? I'll just show that. Oh. There you go. and then I'll go through the door and you'll see the audio is missing. Okay. Now that's not because the file is missing. This also because the game doesn't recognize that index. So I'll go and I'll add an additional audio file now, and we'll see if that works or not, and then I'll show you what we can do to get that to recognize it. So we're going to use the Xbox audio creation tool, and then we're just going to expand this. We need to create we need to create a project first. I'm going to be adding a 13th one, so from 0 to 11, that is 12. So we're going to add a 13th one, so it's going to be called door SE012. Okay, and we're going to create a wave bank that's just basically a folder that will contain all your audio clips. Okay, so here we have a bunch of audio clips I've ripped from a game, did our live at some point, and I'm just going to be using these. Okay, and then you only need 2. The door sound effect only uses 2, one for open and one for close. I'll explain that maybe at the end, or explain more about that later. So what we need to do is we need to create a playlist. So this program uses a lot of these buzzwords. These are just terminologies that they use in the program. They call it a sound bank. So we're going to create our playlist in here. So we're going to first make a setup here for our sound. We're going to drag an audio to each one of those. You can add modifiers to this to manipulate the audio in certain ways, but we're not interested in any of that. We're just going to create a queue. This is our master playlist, and we're going to add our audios into here. And we're going to rename these 0 and 1. Okay. Now I know this because if we go back to one of the original door sound effects and I pull them into the hex editor, this is the XSB. Okay, that's the sound bank. We can see that the sound bank name is here, but it's spelt differently. It's not door SE, it's door. So we need to keep that in mind. And this is the wave bank that it's associated with. It's the same name, essentially. And at the very end is the queue names. So the queue name here is 0 and 1. Okay. Some of the other files, well, actually all the files are the same, but some files, instead of being 0, 1, it's 0, 0, 0, 1. So they have a little bit of a difference in nomenclature. But this one's just 0 and 1. Okay. So that's what we need to make for the queues. Alright. That's pretty much it, I think. Yeah, I think that's it. We'll try that. If not, then we may need to add an RPC. I did this the first time, and I had created an RPC because I thought the file needed it, but we'll see if I need it or not. I doubt it, to be honest. So that's it. Very simple. Now I need to change these names here to door 012 and door 012. Now I need to update the export paths here. So this says door 012 because it's just changed to adapt to my name. I'm just going to change this here so that it has the full name. So the linking happens internally, so you can call these, I guess, whatever, but you want to keep it with the same nomenclature that is inside of here. Okay. So this should be good. We're just going to save the project, and then I'm going to build the banks. I'm going to save that. And now we're going to have inside of here where I saved the project, a Windows and Xbox folder. So inside the Windows, we'll have those new banks. I don't think we need the XSG. We're going to take the XSB and the XWB and add those to the root of the SND folder. Okay, so now those are in the bottom. Now, this is accessing 12, and this is 12. So it's supposed to access that. We're going to try this again. We're going to try and load this and see if it will load the clip. Yeah, just gonna load. Alright, so if I go through this door, it should work because now we're asking for 12 to be loaded, and 12 is now physically present in the sound folder, right? So nothing happened, it's just blank silent audio. Okay, so the reason for that is there's a table, and the table contains the IDs. You need to add to the ID table, and then it will work. So what we're going to do is go back, and we're going to go to the BGM folder, the background music folder, and in there is a folder called Door SE Head. That is the listing that we need to modify. So I made a backup of mine, so I suggest doing that because you're going to have to hex edit your head file. If you make a mistake, you're going to need to undo it, otherwise you're going to lose the audio in your game. Okay, so let me just explain the structure. We have the top two pointers, 20 and 60. 20 is over here. This actually points towards another file, but I don't think we should worry about it. And then the second pointer points down here at the ID table. And down here at the ID table is the count. This count is 12, right? So we'll go 0 to 11. That would be 12. And then these are the IDs, 0, 1, all the way to 12. Okay. So all we need to do is just increase this count. This is 12 to, we need to increase it to 13. So this goes from C to D. And then we can add an additional ID in the table. So we're going to add 12. And now I can save. And now we can load that up again, and the audio should work. Okay. Okay, now the audio sounds kind of weird because I just grabbed some random files from my drive, but again. Okay, so those are actually two separate audios. They're voice audios. That's why they're kind of overlapping and sounding bizarre. These two here. But you can see that it's doing so it's actually playing those two clips together and then blending them and then doing a fall off. All that audio processing is not happening from the Xbox audio creation tool. The Xbox authorization, or what we call it, audio creation tool, is meant to do this kind of stuff. It's meant to create sound fading effects and transitional effects and all that stuff. But all that stuff's being done in the engine. Okay, so that means that all this extra stuff that this application can do, like the modifiers and all that stuff, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, the game doesn't use them because it's doing it all internally for itself. Because this is only used on the Xbox and the Windows version. The Wii U, the GameCube, they all use different audio sources. So of course the audio processing happens internally. So as far as this goes, they're not doing any bizarre setups. So it's really simple just to create new audio. You just need to know what the game is expecting in terms of the cues. Okay, and then you're fine, which is pretty simple. You just open a hex editor and you just look at what's being used. So very simple stuff. And that allows us now to add additional audio to the game. So now I have, if you're going to share this as a mod, you have to send an updated door head file, and then you just include the additional door sound effects. But that's it. All right, thanks for watching. Take care.